So I'm DeShuna Spencer. I am the founder of kweliTV. We are an international network. We're dedicated to issues, stories, and culture of the global Black community. I'm so excited. As you know, we have our bi-monthly Meet the Filmmaker series. I'm really excited to have Lucy Coutinho, who is the creator of Luce Inspiration. It's a really awesome web series that's on kweliTV. And I want to introduce Lucy to Meet the Filmmaker. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I mean, backstory, Lucy and I, we've known each other for a couple of years now, actually. I want to say, I forgot, how did we meet? I don't remember. Was it through social media?
Nahal, we have a mutual friend, Nahal, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That I connect with you. And you introduced me to your website. And I think we were supposed to do some writing around that. That never happened, but here we are. This actually did happen, which I'm very excited about.
I think we share a birthday, right? Do we October 7th.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. You have a couple of people who have birthdays on October 7th, so I do remember that. But talk about
day.
Yeah, it is. I guess, I want to go back. So we are parents, but anyway. So
yeah, I know.
But talk about Luce Inspiration, because I think it's a really awesome web series. I mean, that's why it's on kweliTV. Talk about the inspiration for starting Luce Inspiration.
Sure. I can't quite talk about that without talking about my background a little bit. I did start off in television news. Right out of college, my first job was at Channel 7 in Boston, Massachusetts. So I've worked in news for a long time, about 10 years. And what I seen behind the scenes was, it just made me anxious all the time, go home and carry the stories over. And so it took a little while for me to figure out why that was. So up until maybe 5 years ago, I really figured out, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to counter that, what I've seen in the news industry, with some positive stories. Use my influence and my storytelling abilities to showcase positive, influential people who are making a difference in the community. So from there, the Luce Inspiration web series was created.
Awesome. And I totally get it. I mean, I started out not in television, but in newspapers. And again, same thing, I would go out and do these stories. Someone's, being injured, or some child's being murdered, or someone went to jail, and I had to interview them. And it can become very depressing. And either there are two types of people in news, either the ones who totally, take it all in, and it's hard for them to kind of do. That was me. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I would think about the person who are interviewed. And then there are people who it rolls right off of their backs, and it's like,
I'm not one of those people.
Right.
I'm definitely not one of those people. So it was difficult. It was very hard working in news for that long. Yeah.
It could be a very depressing job. I mean, especially because you're the first ones, you're usually the first person to know about various things happening, and it can be very depressing. And if you have empathy, then it's hard to take those stories and just move on with your life, because it was very hard for me. Talk about, I know you talk about inspiring people, but do you see that as your mission for Luce Inspiration?
Yes, that is the mission, and I've been able to find a lot of great stories around that. Either people come to me with ideas, or I meet other great people, just honest. It could be my friends, it could be someone that I just come across. I always feel like whoever I'm talking to, I kind of have to stop myself, because I feel like I'm interviewing everyone that I talk to, literally. But I've been meeting some amazing people with amazing stories. I feel like we all have them. We all have a story to tell, and that's pretty much the mission, is to showcase that. Yeah.
So talk about some of the people you've interviewed for the series. You've interviewed a lot of amazing people.
So my first web series was interesting because I actually interviewed a reporter Channel 9 reporter out of Washington, D.C. And I chose her because I know her personally, and I felt like she had a really unique story in terms of just the way she was very warm. I mean, she was always very warm, and as a reporter, I often looked at her and I admired that. So I wanted to know what her story was, and in fact, I sat down with her. She invited me to her home with her family there, her husband and her children. We sat down and talked about the culture, and talked about her career, and talked about how she started out. And it was a really powerful interview where it got really emotional even, so that added a human aspect of who she was, aside from seeing her on the news every day, and we got to really know her story, who she is behind her being a reporter. So that was one of my favorite pieces out there.
You've interviewed musical artists. You've interviewed producers. Yeah. How was that interview?
That was a phenomenal interview. He is very insightful, very passionate. We talked about his acting career and life now after Hollywood and his initiative now. He does a lot of great things. He's a historian now. He has his own film company out in Norfolk, Virginia. So we talked about that a lot. He's just a really amazing person. And I learned a lot from him, just that interview alone. I still have footage from that interview. It's not all released yet. I made a short, series with his interview, but I have so much more that I can release with that interview.
And how do you pick the people to interview? Because you want to make sure, I mean, Luce Inspiration, so of course you want the people to be inspiring. I mean, you reach out to people for inspirational story. You don't really know how the story is going to turn out until you interview them. So how do you pick the people to be interviewed?
That's a really interesting question, right? I go by my feelings. I talk to people all the time. Like I have conversations, just normal conversations, just to figure out who people are. And I think within a conversation, you can really get to know people. And I go based on that feeling. And I tell you, I have been spot on. Even with the stories that have come to me that people have suggested, I research the people. I research who they are and what they've done and what they're about. And I make sure that they align with my message. And that's how I've been able to pick them. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And these are skills as a journalist, right? To do your research and find the right people. Nowadays, there are so many web shows coming out, so many people starting web series. Talk about your journey to creating it, and the behind the scenes part of creating something like a web show.
So it's been competitive, because of the type of stuff that I talk about isn't really, it's not catching on really fast, you know what I mean? Because there's no drama to it. There's no instant, satisfaction, if you will. It's very deep. So in that regard, it's really, really challenging to really get this initiative out there. But I'm working at it. I have great stories. I still have great stories to put out. I have a list of people that I have yet to interview. I have interviews that haven't come out yet that I have them sitting on. So I'm not giving up.
We'll talk about the challenges of being an independent, because I think, one of the things that we do at kweliTV, I mean, our focus is on independent content. And I, as an independent myself, I understand the challenges of being independent, trying to put your work out there. Talk about the challenges of being independent and putting your work out there in this day and age. In one way, it's like, wow, it's easy to put a YouTube video, but then another way, you're one of a gazillion YouTube videos that's trying to get yourself out there. Do you see it as a challenge? And talk about what it is like to be independent in today's world.
Sure. So I'm a one-man band. I do, I do the interviewing, I do the research, I do, I'm a content creator. So the marketing I have to do on my own. I've learned a great skill is to ask for help when you need it. So people have been really helpful, my family members and friends, and I'm really appreciative of all of them. But that is a struggle, really. I don't have a team per se. I do have a camera person and editors that I use from time to time. But I'm at the mercy of their time. I can't do it all on my own. So I'm definitely the next mission is to definitely build a team because it's really difficult for me to get stories out there without having the help. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's like one of the time, like one of the things, like when you start something, you have an ideal and you're not sure exactly, where direction you want to take it. But then when you figure it out, it's like, okay, how do I find the right people to make my vision a reality? I mean, how you mentioned you have a videographer and someone who helps you edit. How do you find help? How do you find those people to kind of help you with your vision? Because I think a lot of times for a lot of independents, you don't really have those connections that a lot of people might have. I mean, your background's in journalism, so I'm sure you may have met people along the way who could help you with what you're trying to do.
I have met some really amazing people along the way. I have. And then another thing, when people see that you're trying and they believe in your vision, I've been fortunate enough to have enough people believe in my vision and to want to help and to get that help. And also just to ask because sometimes people might not realize what your struggles are. They might think, oh, she's okay. She has a team of people, but really, I don't.
Right.
I do, especially the marketing piece, it's very time consuming. Um, I do, I can market. That's part of the thing that I do as well. But for myself, I can't do that and create the content, interview, and so yeah.
It's a lot, yeah. I mean, it's a lot when you're independent. And as far as like funding, like outside of like kweliTV, off, giving people deals. I mean, how has that come about? As far as, I mean, do you see yourself like putting your own money into it at first, and then hoping you will get your money back, or have you been able to find sponsors?
I've put a lot of money into my project so far. I can't say it's a ton of money, but I have, and I'm a true believer that you have to spend the money to eventually make the money, right? And if I really believe in my vision, and I'm willing to go that route for it. And sponsorships definitely is something that I'm working on. I'm learning. I'm definitely doing more research on that. And now that I'm ready to expand, it's definitely something that's on the to-do list very soon.
And speaking of learning and lessons, I'm sure you probably learned a lot along the way starting the web series. What are some things you've learned since starting this journey?
Sure, to shorten my videos. That's one of the biggest, when I started out, I just was really aggressive and just googly eyed. I just wanted to tell the story, and I was like, this is a great story. I'm going to make it long and everyone's going to love it. But the reality is I definitely had to shorten it out. That's why it's really difficult to pick out, I have to take this out and that. So that alone has been the greatest lesson is to really condense my content and make it short enough so that way the attention span remains there.
Right. I mean, with online content, it's very different from traditionally what you used to with television. Yeah. So was there a transition for you, the difference between online and traditional TV?
Yeah, absolutely. TV was all I knew. You know what I mean? It's like a learning a brand new culture. I mean, it is a culture. It's a brand new culture for us now. So, and I talk to young people a lot too because they're really plugged in. They know what they want. They know what they want to see. So I spend a lot of time talking to younger people as well, just to pick their brain and figure out, okay, what's trending out there? How are people watching videos now? So yeah, it's been a great lesson.
So it looks like we do have a question here. Do you get in front of camera sometimes? But you get in front of camera all the time for your web
all
series,
the time
right?
for my show. I'm always in front of the camera. I'm actually conducting the style of my interviews. I'm actually conducting the interviews, so it's always me in there as well.
And talk about as a journalist, you mentioned doing the research and all of that, and like you're pretty much producing your own shows as well.
Yes,
And
I am producing.
So it's very different from like traditional news segment where you have a producer and then someone else, like you're just in front of camera. I mean, you're doing double duty. I'm pretty sure that how all of that, how does all that work together?
That's what I was saying. That's the difficulty, right?
Right.
Like I would love to, because I'm a journalist, and that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the storytelling. I want to focus on the research, and I would love a producer. I want a producer, in fact, and I'm saying this because I'm seriously looking for one right now. Yes, I'm going to put it out there. I definitely need a producer that I can work with, just to open up the ideas and, just expand from my ideas and to give me some kind of breathing room too, so I can really focus on what I need to do.
So we have another question. What do you see as your ideal team?
Ideal team. I'm glad you asked that. Such a great question, because I was just putting together a plan the other night, a vision, if you will, what I want my team to look like. I want a producer, number one. I want a videographer. I want an editor. I mean, it could be, that person can actually be one person. And I want a marketer. I want someone who is going to do a stellar job at marketing my mission.
It sounds
so
like
that's what my looks like to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds great. And I'm pretty sure, with Blab, and we also do post this on YouTube once this is over. So who knows, your team may be, maybe just around the corner.
I think it's coming together as we speak.
And talk about some other projects you're working on, because I know you do a lot of other things besides your web series.
Yeah, I do. I try to align everything that I do with my mission around the web series. It all aligns. Very recently, this past weekend, I was actually doing live interviews for the Hip Hop from Flint in Providence. I don't know. A lot of people know this is happening across the country, but 43 cities came together to raise money for Flint, Michigan. They've had a really unfortunate occurrence there for the past 2 years. It just didn't happen now. So when a friend of mine contacted me to be a part of it, I was really excited because it definitely, again, aligns with my mission. And I was really happy to help. So that's what my last thing that I did.
That's really awesome, because as we know in Flint, I mean, I had someone on. It was a volunteer on my radio show, and the thing is, I feel like people aren't talking about it as much as they should, right? I feel like, there's like one little blurb on the news, but then that's about it. When there are people who are really suffering there.
Well, they have to live with that. And I did get to speak to a young lady who just came from there very recently. I had a lengthy conversation with her. She told me about the conditions. She told me that people are pretty much prisoners in their homes. People are fighting for water, the necessities in life. We need water to brush our teeth, to bathe in, and they don't have that. And it's not just happening today. They've been living like this for the past 2 years. And I know that we're talking about it on the news. I mean, at one point it was really heavy on the news, right? But now it's kind of fading away, because then something else takes over, another story. but they still have to live in that condition. And I don't want to see that. I want
Right.
this to keep, to raise that awareness, to keep talking about it, to get people out there to help, and to get more of these initiatives going on. So that was a really powerful initiative to be a part of, and I'm really fortunate that I got to do that. Yeah.
What do you see journalism and social justice, their marriage? Because, we were talking about this whole issue with Flint, and with the people who you interview, there seems to be some type of inspirational social justice component. What role do you think journalism should have when it comes to social justice?
I think we're the voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're the voice for the people, and we should use that voice to make a difference, to help. And I'm glad you brought that social justice piece up, because that is everything for me personally, on a personal movement. And I want to use my God-given talent, which I feel it is, to make a difference. And here it is, what Luce
Great.
Inspiration.
Great. And you meet people all the time and say, I want to start a web series. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they may feel like, I don't know, that it may be too hard. I mean, what keeps you going? What inspires you to keep doing your web series?
What inspires me, it gets hard every day. I get
Mm-hmm.
discouraged, and sometimes I feel like, what am I doing this for? But I know why I'm doing this for. Why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to tell stories that are not being represented enough. And I want to be the one. I want to be that voice. And if I can, I am going to be that voice. So whenever that discouraging little voice comes up in my head, I say, well, this is why you're here. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to get up and you have to do it. As difficult as it may be today, it's your mission, and you have to keep going. So that's what I would say. Just keep the mission in mind, and keep the passion alive, and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to other people too. Like, I have a lot of great inspirational friends around me who
Mm-hmm.
some days I get discouraged, and I talk to them, and they remind me. They give me that extra push that I need, and that's been everything, really.
I think that's so true. Having positive people around you makes a huge difference. I feel like people always say like who you are is like the four people or five people or something who you surround yourself with. How do you find those people who are going to stick by you? Because there are also people who may be like, well, I don't know, maybe this is too hard. I mean, how do you find
Well, I found a lot of those people,
yeah.
but those people aren't around anymore. And
Mhm.
it's for a reason, because if you're not going to help and propel, if we're not propelling together and moving forward, then you're somehow a hindrance to me. And
Mhm.
I cannot afford that. You see what I mean? So, and eventually too, I sit back and I observe a lot, and I think that people fall off on their own without you even doing anything.
Right.
And those people that fall off, unfortunately, they're not part of your journey. So yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. We have a couple minutes left, about 6 or 7 minutes left. So if anybody else have any questions, right there, you can write on the side. You can ask Lucy anything you want. What advice would you give people for who want to start web shows? I mean, it's funny because
Do it.
yeah, well, that's good because because you also talked about some of the challenges. I remember when I wanted to start a magazine many years ago, I ended up talking to someone who's a well-known publisher in the DC area, and I was excited, like, oh, I'm about to start this magazine, and what advice would you um, give me? And she was like, don't do it. It was very discouraging.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't do it. That's never the right answer.
Exactly. But and the thing is, like you mentioned, just do it, right? I mean, I think a lot of times, I mean, everything in life has challenges, but you still believe that people should just go for it. What other lessons do you think
Yeah,
people?
because my thing is that if you don't try, how will you ever know? And
Hmm.
two, if it doesn't work, then at least you know. So you definitely have to try it first.
Mm-hmm. I also think too, maybe you think people should find a series that they're interested in. Like for you, you knew what you wanted to do. You had a clear vision about what you wanted to
It
have
took
your
a while though to really fine tune that vision. However,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like it was a feeling at first. I was going with what I was feeling. Like, okay, this new thing doesn't feel good. But this is what I like. This is what I want to feel. That's what I want to do. So it took a long time for that vision to become crystal clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So definitely do take the time, however,
Mm-hmm.
to fine tune your vision. You don't want to start something and kind of be all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Hey, your audio went out all of a sudden, Lucy. Can everyone else hear her? Okay, okay. So while Lucy is yeah, so yeah, she's trying to fix it. While Lucy is trying to get her audio back on, I do want to tell people that right now we are in beta quality TV, and we definitely want. I really want to thank people for supporting quality TV the past couple of months and believing in our mission and believing in what we're doing. Lucy's just one of many great content creators on the platform right now, and I'm always really excited about all the great new content, all the people who believe in what we're doing, want to be a part of quality TV. So right now we're only $19.99 a year. I mean, it's like dirt cheap. It's like bargain basement prices. And so once we have the official launch, it'll be $49.99 a year, which is still pretty inexpensive. But I do encourage people to try and check us out now if you haven't. Check out some of the content we have. We have web shows like Lucy's that's news oriented. We have documentaries. We have scripted content. We have something called the Cat Lady Chronicles, and it's a sister who's in love with her cats, and it's hilarious. We have a cartoon called Beano Fino as well on the platform. We have so many things. Lucy, can we hear you now? No, no. Oh, so and we were. Oh, someone said like being up, yay! Yes, so do we, and we have a couple other cartoons as well on the platform, and so it's been really great, to start this. Like I always tell people when they interview me, what is the greatest thing so far about quality TV is just the fact that you create something and you never know, what type of response you would get from people until you put it out there. And it's just been really awesome to have so many people who believe in the vision, believe in the work that what we're doing here at Quality TV, from our subscribers to our new ambassadors. It's been totally awesome. So let's see, is it still? No, no. Well, it's about 2 minutes till to the end of the talk anyway. So we can just end it here a little early, just 2 minutes till. But I really want to thank Lucy's at this wave, and I'm not sure if you know sign language or not. All right, I don't know any, so. But I really want to thank Lucy for coming on. Her web series is called Luce Inspiration. It's just that. It's very inspirational. She interviews all types of people on different walks of life, and it's such a great series, one of many on the platform. So please check it out. You can go to kweliTV and check out her series among many, many more. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you. Bye, Lucy. Thank you.
With it.